Rage on that beat, going crazy.
All right, hey guys, Chris here again. So we've overcome our technical difficulties. We've discussed the merits of the fact that we went twinsies today with our attire. Was not planned. We both did not plan on wearing olive drab with tan ball caps. That's just how great minds think alike.
Exactly.
So I'm here to welcome Rebecca, aka Lady Angler Lentz, to the program. So as you know, this show is about unique individuals in the fishing community that bring a little something extra. And I've been aware of Rebecca, I want to say maybe a little over a year now. And I will put links to her Instagram account, but I just saw this really genuine, very genuine, self-effacing, which was really cool because a lot of people on social media try to paint themselves. Don't worry, I have two downstairs that I'm sweating that this is going to happen on my end too, because like it's a miracle that it hasn't happened yet. We're babysitting a little friend as well. So so Rebecca is very self-effacing on social media, but that I mean, like that makes her special, but what really made her special is her kindness and her generosity to other people. I've seen enough and know enough to know when it's someone that does things for other people, hoping that they get a little bit of praise or recognition for it. And Rebecca genuinely helps people from the goodness of her heart. And there is every instinct in my body knows that she's not waiting for something to come her way in return. She just puts it out and gives it and never expects to get anything back. And I know that, I know it. So she's a totally rad person. I'm super glad I crossed paths with her. And then we got to know each other a little bit, talking about some branding and some logo work. And I thought this is a great person to talk to and get to know. So Rebecca, we're going to start with what's going on right this second. And then we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive, and then we'll do some really light, quick stuff. And then if we have to continue this in another call, we will, because we're going to be time eaters. We're going to eat up this clock very quickly. So what's going on right this moment? Like, what are you guys doing this week?
All the things. So this week, we should be fly fishing, probably for smallies if we can, and trout waters, as well as getting prepared for our trip to Idaho. So we will be bear hunting and fly fishing up in Idaho for about 10 days.
Okay,
so
how far of a drive is that from you guys right now?
I swear he said like 21 hours.
Oh.
So I have convinced him last year when we drove back, we had to beat a snowstorm so we wouldn't get stuck. I think it was in Wyoming. One of those states actually barricade the highway and they do not allow you to pass. So then you have to like stay in the state. I can't remember if it had to been Wyoming. Maybe it was.
And
Wyoming.
I hope you were in his truck and not the Subaru.
We were in the truck, but the problem is my amazing husband can sleep anywhere. And I used to be that way in the military, but we had all of our gear in the back. So we were trying to sleep with the truck turned off in a almost snowstorm for a few hours. And it was freezing and all the things that make me girly.
Yeah.
So this year we're going to be stopping so we can actually like open up the rooftop tent, sleep in it, and then get back on the road. Yeah. But I think that's going to be on our trip back because we plan on trying to not drive straight through, but stop. Oh, I saw your baby.
Yeah, that's Alfie. Just came in to photo bomb us a little bit.
I love it. And I'm opening it. I wish it was a beer. It's a little early. Plus I have to train people. So I'm also a personal trainer. So I'm having mine.
Yeah, I have my coffee here because the bubbly
angler fuel.
Yes, angler fuel. One of my designs. again, retro 70s.
It
But
reminds me of, I've got one somewhere in here. When you were a kid.
yes, the Instamatic camera.
Yes.
Or was that what they were called? Or was it a Wonder View?
Wonder View or some kind of view. So it had like.
It was something View. Why don't we know the name of it? And you went click, 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 click. And I remember, weren't they 3D as well? Like,
yes.
There was some depth stuff that went on. And
I've got one.
Yeah, we thought that was cool. Instamat. Why do I want to call it an Instamatic?
I'm going to write that down. Because it's not viewfinder. That's what you look through. But
something View.
So I like that logo because you and I are always on the same page with
yeah,
like the retro.
No, it's totally, yeah, no. As soon as you said that, I knew you were talking about the red goggles. And then if you had crappy siblings, they would hit the front of it and it would hurt your eyes because they were like square and not very ergonomic or cushioned.
Not at all. But that was
those are pretty cool.
Most toys back then. It was like, we don't care if you get hurt. It's
that was 80s VR.
Yeah.
All right. So I know there's a good story probably behind this. What got you started in angling?
So 2 years ago, whenever we went fly fish, or no, we were on a trip for my 35th birthday, and I like traveling or anything to get like these memories because of my childhood and whatnot. So I want all the moments, all the memories.
Right.
And we were driving through the Ozarks. My husband decided, or he asked, he's like, hey, can we pull over? Do you mind if I go fishing for a little bit? Because he's a huge bass fisherman.
Right. And see, I just assumed about him that he was a fly fisherman only. So you're driving the bass angler out of him. Because every time I see him, he has a fly rod in hand now.
Unfortunately, yes. He does still he had.
Well, he's a smart man. He knows he's got to keep, he knows who to keep happy.
Yes. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
So we had pulled over. He caught a few good ones, and I decided to do some yoga on the bank. I was in wheel pose and saw a non-typical angler, which I haven't said this before. It just came to my mind.
Right.
I'm like, why haven't I ever discussed this? Because we do have a stereotype of like,
of every type of angler, there's a stereotype.
Oh, definitely. Like if you're
every type.
Yes.
Like so name the fish, and then there's a person that fits the fish, and you can just see a person next to a lake, and you don't have to see what they're holding, but you know what they're probably fishing for, which is awful to say. But so this guy struck you as not a fly fisherman, obviously.
No, he looked like the guy from Waterboy that was like, and I can't think of his name, but like he had such a horrible like Louisiana accent that
real thick.
Yeah, so he resembled that guy. He didn't sound like that guy, but I was just like, what is he doing? That does not. So he came over, he saw that I was kind of being nosy, and he kind of asked my husband and myself, he's like, you want me to show you? And I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. Like, let me see what this is all about. Well, he went from like really cool, relaxed guy to being very strict and like
drill instructor.
Yes, drill instructor. So like you have to stand this way, your elbows like stuck to your ribs, and you need to act like you're throwing paint, and then kept correcting my form. And I wasn't frustrated, but I was like, okay, this doesn't look like what you were doing, and now it's not as fun.
Right. You just trained all the dancey, fun Princess Sparkle part of it.
Exactly. I was like, I want to do the ribbon dancing.
Yeah, I want to do a wand. I want my magic wand.
Exactly. So my husband on our drive home was asking, he's like, so did you like that? Is that something you would be interested in? And he ended up buying me a practice rod that had yarn in it from Amazon. And I like that one. And I do sometimes recommend that one to people, but it was also nice that he had an old fly rod. I guess it was from his college days. I'm not sure where he had it, but I started practicing with that. And that was a lot better to get the true feeling. But I still sucked. And I've only been fly fishing for 2 years, but it wasn't honestly until the past, maybe I will say 8 months, that I really realized that even presentation was more important than being able to double haul or anything like that. So that's why I only roll cast, because it looks cool, but if I suck at it and I don't need to false cast 300 times.
Right. Getting your presentation in front of the fish is everything.
It sure is.
If it's not there in front of them,
Yeah, this is
all the pretty stuff above the water doesn't matter as much if you're not getting it in front of them.
no, this will probably be like the fourth time I'll admit my husband was right, because he'd be
Well,
like,
he's a smart man. Maybe I need to get my wife a practice fly fishing rod just so she can go out in the yard and practice it, because she's always practicing
Yes.
ukulele. I'll be like, here's something else you can practice.
yeah, do this. Well, he's so patient. I would not have been patient with me. Like I can be a butthead and very stubborn. So as much as I love him, I don't see myself ever have had that patience to teach him something like he did me. I wish I could. I wish I could say like I have so much love and could do that. But as stubborn as I was, it was amazing that it took that long and was that chill and just kept persevering. And then I was addicted. And I was like, okay, now I want to learn more. I mean, I still have bad days where he's like catching 50, not 50, but a ton. And I mean, they're just looking at it, and now I keep changing my fly too. I've learned to go ahead and just keep changing my fly, because that's part of it as well.
Okay. So on that note,
Yes.
every angler every angler has a favorite way to catch fish. But their favorite way isn't always their most productive way. Okay. So I have a favorite way that I like to catch fish. It's my favorite way to catch them, but it doesn't mean that's what I would do if I was trying to, like, let's say, put food on the table. So do you have a favorite presentation versus your most productive presentation, or are they the same thing?
For me, I guess they kind of are the same thing.
Okay, that's always nice when that works out.
Until I get even more comfortable with learning more about, like I told you, the false casting. I can do it. It doesn't look as good, and it's pointless to me if I can just roll cast and do the same thing. But if I'm throwing streamers, it's really hard. So I do a lot of times a tension cast just to make that happen. And here lately, I've been in love with hopper droppers, because if they're not wanting to smack what I've got on top, I can almost guarantee they may hit whatever's below the surface.
Right. So you're covering two bases there.
Right.
Sorry about the dog.
I love it. As I'm like, I said, puppy.
He's crowded out because the guest is like a miniature, younger version of him that's female. They look like twins, but she won't leave him alone. And he's getting so old. He's just like, no, please, like, leave me alone. He pushed the door open. I had the door shut, but he figured out how to push it open even when it's latched. So
smart pupper.
There's no hope. Okay. So what's your favorite bite when you're fishing? Okay. Like, you know how there's every lure has a different bite, like a topwater presentations bite is a little bit different than something that's like, if you're fishing a terrestrial or something that's down low. Do you have a favorite bite, or are they all good?
It used to be a topwater, but this last week it was so challenging for them to hit what I was dropping below my hopper that I really liked that. And unfortunately, it was sight fishing. So I was able to see them suck it in, but they kept spitting it out.
I like sight fishing. I think it's exciting. I love seeing the animal. It's so pretty. You know, some people think it's like boring in a way, or not a challenge, but I don't know. When you can see them, they can see you, and they're usually a little bit more spooked. And there's just something like, it's almost like playing like an old game. You know what I mean? Like it's like, it's something really cool about seeing them and being like, I'm going to fool you.
Well, and I think it also makes you have to be a better angler, because like you said, they could see you, but you can.
Yes. It does.
And you keep seeing them not take.
Yes. So you just keep doing something different.
Yeah. So I think it actually makes you better, because you're like, all right, maybe I need to change my depth. Maybe I need to change my fly. Maybe, roll cast that way and bring it across him, or whatever.
How far past it does it need to go to bring it back? I think the same thing. I think, when I bass fish, when I see the fish and they're really tight-lipped, it's like a Rubik's Cube. I want to figure out, like, what's going to unlock this thing. So, and I think it helps with everybody's fishing. All right. So if you're going to go catch your PB, like, I guarantee you, let's say I said to you, Rebecca, today you're going to go out and you're going to catch your personal best. It's going to happen today. No matter what you use, what do you want to catch your PB on? Like, what would be like the thing where you're like, I'm throwing this and I'm catching my PB on this? Like, like as a statement?
That's so hard. Here lately, and I don't want to sound like the dudes, but like a woolly booger or something, like knowing that I was stripping something in and had to honestly feel it, not see it, like really.
Yeah. See, if you're going to catch your PB, you get to pick what it's on. Sometimes you want to pick something that's like
hard. Yeah. Hard for me.
Yeah. Because that like makes it like doubly cool. Okay. And then having said that, do you have like an all-time confidence presentation that's like, now we're talking, you need to eat. You're stranded somewhere and you got to get fish to bite. And we're not talking about size. We're not talking about catching the elusive brown trout.
Right.
I'm gonna have to ask you more about that if that's happened yet.
No, it's not.
Okay. You can always plead the fifth.
Right.
But is there something that you use? Like, let's say there's a young person out there right now that's just getting into fly fishing. Is there some presentation that you think it's not in angler circles, it might not be the greatest presentation, but it's like, this is a good way to get a fish to bite?
Oh yeah. I'd say fast moving water or like some kind of riffle, and then throwing across it, not down it, up it, anything like that.
Okay.
And kind of stripping it in.
Just let it tumble.
And it pats rubber legs. Like I can almost always, because it's so buggy looking. Now you may have to change up the colors, but it's so buggy looking. I've found out that it works well. I know it's really close to being like a mop fly or an egg or anything like that, but I still love it. Like if I need a guarantee that I'm going to catch something.
Yeah. I have one of those. I have one of those that I use with kids. If they're like, if we're in a creek fishing for smallmouth, it's the old junky Rebel crick hopper. It's a little piece of plastic that looks like a little cricket with tiny little treble hooks in it. And if you just throw it like right in the riffle and let the riffle carry it into like a pool.
Oh yes.
And you just twitch it, and it has to be black or brown, and everything that swims will smack it. Yeah. So if like I would want, like if I had a survival bug out bag, if I had that in it, I would be like, yeah, I think I could feed my family on fish, as long as the nuclear cloud didn't wipe out all the fish.
True. Yes.
Right.
Yes. I think that's a good one.
Okay. What is your greatest strength as an angler? Like if there's something about you that gives you strength as an angler, what's that greatest strength?
This is a good question.
Could be an aspect of your personality. I mean, it can be physical abilities too, but
I think it's like my willingness to be a novice and to almost make fun of myself so other people can say that it's not that damn serious.
Okay.
Because I feel like even now at my following I have, that I was so intimidated when I first got in and was not catching the big ones, wasn't catching them constantly, didn't have the best like presentation or casting.
Right.
It's just like
you were self-conscious.
Yeah. So I'm like, it really doesn't that matter. I mean, it doesn't matter that much. No. Like if you're on the water, still
it's for you.
Day. Yes. So I'd have to say just being able to have that connection with other people and getting them out in the water as well through my own goofiness.
There's nothing more zen. Okay. So this is the flip side of that. What is your greatest weakness or shortcoming as an angler?
My shortcoming is either my attention span or my competitiveness. When my husband is 5 feet up, catching them back to back in the same riffle that I'm fishing.
Right, you want to scooch on the other side of them. Yeah, no,
it doesn't matter. Even if we switch and I'm in that riffle, he's done this before. He caught like 4 brown back to back to back to back. And he was like, Sweets, come here. Nothing.
Oh, right. That's how it always works though. If I'm with anyone and I'm like, yo, no, you take my spot. That I don't know why that never works.
It doesn't. It's because
I would say the weakness would be the attention span. The competitiveness, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's probably why you've made leaps and bounds in your progress so far.
But my attention span, you're right, because my husband will fish the same riffle for like 3 hours straight and I'm done. Like after 2 hours, I want to go sit, maybe go have a beer, go move down, go move up. And he's very patient, which shows because of his patience with
I've noticed
me.
that. I watched a few of your YouTube videos. And again, I will put the link for everyone to that as well. But I've noticed that well, you get ticked off like when things aren't lining up correctly. And I've noticed that like I almost feel like he's like captain one more cast. Like he's always like looking at you like, do we have to go? And I feel like you're just like, you know, you feel like a spot gets burned. And then when he's ready to go, you're the type of person that's like, wait a minute, I'm going to make a few more casts. That while you're all, you know, you've just tucked everything away and you're headed back to the car. I'm going to linger on the bank for one or two more.
Right. And it helps too. We've been bringing our toy Aussie with us, Nova. Like if we're going smallie fishing, those waters don't have as many people on them. So it's nice that if I get a little bored, I go mess with her, I throw the stick and I go back fishing. So that's really helped me out because I'm not on any medication or anything. So it's just like trying to hone in my attention, even though I love fly fishing. But if I'm not catching anything or can fool my carp or whatever I'm really wanting to fish, I'm like, all right, let me step back, mess with my dog, and then I go back and play some more per se.
Yeah, I think for me, just even like there's times where I'm on the water and I get like pissy because I'm with like a friend that's just like crushing and I'm like, dude, I'm doing all the same stuff. Like this is bullshit. So I just go and I sit down and I try to forget that I'm even fishing. Like I'll just go sit somewhere and I like clear my head and I just look around at stuff and I just go, okay, I could be doing work or I could be driving a car somewhere and I'm not doing any of that. And I'm just happy to be here. And then it you know,
right.
9 out of 10 times that'll reset me.
Right.
There's still those times where you stay pissy because you're just.
I feel that, but we also take like whiskey flask with us or bourbon. So we'll take a pool or I really have gotten better. Now I still have my pissy moments and I have shared a couple of times where one time we were fly fishing, I released it was a rainbow trout, released it while I was leaning over, my fly box fell out of my pocket.
Right.
I lost every fly.
Downstream, tumble, sinking, all that.
So my husband was behind me on the bank. I threw my rod. I went up to the bank. I started punching the bank. I was yelling and cussing and he was
so. It's good to know you do that because that does seem totally out of character for you.
It does.
Like completely.
I haven't done it since because I was so embarrassed when we went to leave. 2 different anglers recognized me, not while I had my hissy fit, but they were like, hey, aren't you Lady Angler Lentz? And I was like,
right. Yeah. No, not the hissy fit.
I'm her. I can't be doing that. Yeah. I can't
I'm her less socially adapted sister. We're a year apart.
Right. Yeah. I'm human.
Image is everything now, right? All right. Yeah. So, Rebecca, now these are questions when I ask them, I try to ask them from the point of view that gives people that might not have time to hone their skills or might have time to experiment. This is something I like to ask everyone. Let's say I guarantee you I can work with your work schedule. I can work with your husband. I can work with everything and I can set it up for you. Okay. Where you get 4 hours uninterrupted of pure fishing time every day of the week for the rest of your life. Guilt-free. You still have your job. Everything's taken care of. You just get those 4 hours. Here's the catch. It's a block of time for 4 hours, but it's the same time every time of day for the rest of your life. I know. Because it changes by season, but if there are 4 hours where it's like this to this, the rest of your life, that's the only time you can wet a line. Do you have a 4-hour window?
So I am the opposite of my husband. I know you're asking me this question, but I'm going to first go into what he does, and which is awesome. And then I'll tell you my answer. So when we go fly fishing, we have to be up at 3:30, 4 a.m., hit the road within 15, 30 minutes, travel
Wait,
to,
is this his trip or your trip?
well, our trip together.
But who's doing this schedule? Which one of you is doing that? Okay.
And so we get there and it's like, it's really hard for me because I'm like, this is dumb. We got up early. I'm not
Right.
catching anything. So I've always had the best luck. I would honestly say usually it's like from 3 o'clock on, or even like 5 up until it gets darker. So whether it is trout or if I'm, panfish, bass, or whatever it may be, it's something about them. Not always, but it seems like there's typically some kind of hatch or there's a topwater bite later in the afternoon like that for me.
Wow. That's interesting because for me, if you
Mhm.
said that, when I even came up with this question in my head, I already knew the answer was like 7 to 11.
In the morning.
Yeah. Like that was my answer. But now, while you were telling that story, I was thinking, I was like, I think all of my PBs and all of the best fish that I've caught were definitely late afternoon, and I never thought about it. I know my PB smallmouth was between like 2 and 5 in the afternoon. I mean, it was a long time ago, 1993 or 1992 or 3. 1993 was my personal best smallmouth and largemouth. Both of them came that summer in different bodies of water. And both were definitely late in the day. I never thought about that ever, because I've always been such a morning guy. The problem with really early morning is when you have a crappy day, when it's really early, then it double stinks. Because you're like, I missed out on sleep and now I'm pissy. And I'm pissed because like I set aside time for this excursion and now I didn't catch anything. And it like just piles up your like resentment, and you even go home angry, and then it wears off by night. You're like, I want to go catch them again. But yeah. So if you get to the water late, like let's say 9 or 10 in the morning, you don't feel burned as nearly as bad as when you do that like special morning gear up excursion. And like the more prepared you are, if your fishing's bad, like the worse it stings. Like sometimes you get to the water and you're like, I forgot my water bottle or I forgot a snack. I'm going to get like low blood sugar on the water and I'm going to be pissy, but you still have a great day. But it's the day when like you dot every I, cross every T, you go out super early and then the day sucks. You're like,
this is stupid.
Yeah. Those are the worst days, the days you're prepared.
Yeah.
All right. So this is sort of the last question here. One of the last questions here. If you had one cast back in your whole fishing career, can you think of one cast or one like your biggest mistake fishing, like the one? Like was there a cast that crushed your soul?
Not a cast.
A lot, you know what I mean? And when I say a cast that crushed your soul, like the fish could have broke you off. Is there like if you could have that cast back? Is there one? Do you have one of those stories? Because I don't.
I do. And everyone gives me shit for this. I've had 4 brown trout on the end of my line. 4.
And this is the elusive species for you, correct?
Correct, yes.
This isn't you exaggerating, saying I've never caught one, but you caught like some really tiny ones at some point.
No, I've never even had. I would celebrate. They're all stalkers where
like,
we are.
But like a 6-incher, that's jumping for joy. Okay.
Yes.
So there's no exaggeration in this. This is like your sworn enemy now.
Yes, and hopefully everyone would know. Even like the little ones count for me, and I'd be really stoked about that.
Okay.
But the problem we have found out was like, it was towards, I don't know if it was like the last 2 or 3, that Joshua cannot tell me what he saw on the other line. Like he's not supposed to do that anymore.
Okay, in case.
So that way I don't mess up.
Yeah.
because I
Oh, okay. So if he knows when it's on, what it is.
don't
If
tell me.
if he told you it's a brown, it's probably coming off.
Exactly.
Right.
So, oh,
You gotta go. You gotta go.
no.
Okay.
I'm gonna yell from my head. Well, let's do it.
Go ahead and yell.
Honey, can you come here? Zeke's getting sick.
Well,
Come on.
we can pause.
Yeah, just pause for 1 second.
Yeah, or
well,
I'll
I don't
just-
care. I don't care if it's recording. You can probably
Well,
stop
no, we could just end it and then I'll dial you back.
it. Okay, go ahead and
That
do
way we can get an extra 10 minutes to wrap it up.
that. Okay.
Go do your thingy.
Okie dokie.
All right. Talk to you in a
Zeke
minute.
threw up. Okay.
Crisis averted.
Kind of.
Okay. Yeah, we have those. My dog likes to sometimes go out in the yard and eat grass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's about, but then he starts to, or like, don't eat the grass, don't eat the grass. And he just looks at you and he's like, I'm eating the grass. Like, I gotta
Right.
do this. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. It's gotta be some kind of evolutionary thing
Mm-hmm.
dogs developed. So he'll eat the grass and then he gets that drooly
Yeah.
present. Then he leaves you a present and then he's fine.
Well, apparently he got sick a few times, but for people that don't know, he on our honeymoon he tore both his rear ACLs, and financially we
Yeah,
made a
no.
decision. Yeah, it was $7,000. Well, $7,200 before tax. And I was like, we're gonna try other medicines. So he's on glucosamine, CBD oils, and he's on doxycycline.
If it makes you feel better, our dog, I don't know what he is. He's like a boxer lab. And I swear he's got some pit bull too, but he's like so skinny and has such a narrow face that boxer lab's what they told us. But he's like a greyhound. Like he can
Gotcha.
go like faster than a speeding bullet. I'm not exaggerating. And he gets like 1 foot off the ground like a rabbit and just zoom. And his favorite thing to do is we think he's jumping the 6 foot fence because we lock it up. And I think he's figured out how on the crossbars to get a foot and then go over. He got out once, he came back limping. I think he tore an ACL, but he's
No,
limped.
yeah.
And then like when he's being bad, he doesn't limp. Like if he gets out of the house, he's not limping, he's running. If he's chasing an animal, it's when it's time to go to bed at night and he has to go upstairs, then he's like on his back foot.
Yeah.
But we feel awful and we give him medicine for it and he walks on it, but there's times where you can tell it's like, he's old, he's getting gray like me. And you can tell like at night when he goes up the stairs, he goes up slower than he comes down them. And I know there's
some arthritis or something too. Yeah.
It breaks my heart. All right. So this is the section I like to call last cast. So you would think, oh, last cast, that's the last question, right? How many anglers say last cast and it's one cast? Ever, right? No.
Never.
So it's actually like 3 questions.
Okay.
So,
I like it.
Yeah. So last cast. Biggest, you don't have to be real elaborate. And by the way, I want everyone to know, Rebecca has like awesome stories that I want to like have her share with you. Like there's all kinds of like cool stuff you don't know about her. And the things she does and like how she lives and where she lives and her husband. And there's so many cool aspects to her. So I already know that Rebecca, I'm gonna pester you to do this again when we have time, because there's no way we're done yet.
Don't mind at all.
You can cut this short, you can make it short and sweet, but so far, what's been your biggest victory in angling? Like, is there one thing you can claim as your biggest victory so far? Like where you're like, I'm giving myself a trophy for boom.
That's another good one. I think it's to, and it sounds so cheesy, but not to take myself seriously, like to overcome my own sometimes stinking thinking, like
Yeah.
that it's okay to not catch a fish. Like if you just have a day on the water, that is enough. Like I don't have to just be like, crap, I have to have content, or crap, I'm not a true fisherman if I don't catch a fish today. Like it happens.
Yeah, there's this constant theme with you where like you're conscious of not undermining yourself, and
Mhm.
you know, like staying within your bounds. And you have really good bounds, and your goals are really good, and the things that I've seen you do for people and other people that you don't even know are really good, but you're always sort of monitoring Rebecca and making
Mhm.
sure that Rebecca's doing the right thing.
Well, it's because
You do a lot of work on yourself.
I do a lot of work on myself, but like you said, I mean, you had to been one of the earliest followers, because I've only been doing this for 2 years. I've
I
only had
guess I wouldn't have
yes.
known.
So I've only had this account for 2 years. But whenever I first started out, which obviously, and this is no shame to Kayla Lockhart or other people at all, they're great. But I would reach out to these like famous women and Cheyenne Orvises and like all the top dogs. And but I kind of get it now, because sometimes I get so many spam messages. So it's really hard.
Yes,
But
it is.
but at that moment I decided, and I think also with my personal struggles and having been in the military and losing friends to suicide, and even people that didn't serve losing people to suicide, that I didn't want anything or anyone to fall through the cracks. So I try to be very diligent in engaging with people.
You are.
And it can be time consuming, but it is a good sacrifice to me. But I just wanted to be that influencer. Like maybe I don't catch all the biggest browns.
Yeah.
I don't even like Sims,
But
Orvis, Fish Pond. Nobody knows me, and that's fine.
right, but you know what? That's why I reached out to you. That's why we're sitting here, because of that aspect of your personality. So I was scared that you were going to dive into my second question, because I felt
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry.
No,
Guys,
it's just funny that it worked that way, because I felt you're like kind of teeter-tottering. So without naming names, because I already sort of know your vibe on this, but what's the biggest beef you have with the state of fishing and angling right now? And again, we don't have to get too particular if we don't.
This might end up hurting me, but companies that jump on the bandwagon, like
Okay.
whatever is the movement at the time, like quit jumping on those bandwagons to get that clientele or those followers. If you are a good enough brand and you really care that much about fly fishing, then it is open to all walks of life, all novices to, it doesn't matter what your race, creed, religion, what you identify as. You should be open to everyone and encourage everyone to get on the water. I know that sounds so like rainbows.
No,
and
it doesn't. No, but
dory, but I get tired of seeing people that are easily swayed this way or that way, because to me that's a you're showing me your character. Like you should be a business that's like so set in stone this way, but you love all these aspects. That's different to me. So that's one of my beefs, I would have to say. And then my other one, which I do the whole less skin more skill, is I work very hard for my body. I have been in fitness competitions. Yes, I could have great followers if I was in a bikini or did the fish crawl or anything like that. But it gets old to me that we have to, I feel like we have come so far that doesn't have to be our only approach, is the sexualized fishing, which to me it's not.
Yeah, and you don't want to have to always feel like
when I'm 60
that you need to make that delineation either.
No, yes. So
and this is a lifetime. This is a lifetime. And I think people don't realize how quickly things move. I feel like I was just, I still think I'm 21 in my head.
It's so weird too when you refer to things. You're like, oh yeah, just a couple of years ago, and it's like, that's like 20 years ago. So
Yeah, because you know, when you were in school as a kid and you were like, it's fourth grade, and one day I'll be in eighth grade. Like literally, when you were in fourth grade, eighth grade took like 3 decades. Like that was forever. And now my kids do something and I'm like, well, that's not for 4 years. And I turn around and I'm like, how did 4 years go by? Like
right.
what felt like, you know, a year did when I was, I don't know. It's really strange. So everybody needs to think, you know, long term, you
Right.
know,
Because don't
what's
chase like if this is really a lifestyle and it's really something that it's almost like a meditation or getting better
it
at
is.
something.
But it's a meditation. It's a meditation
Mhm,
and it's a communion with nature.
mhm.
And it's a space where we go to escape idiots and
Sometimes
be,
they're on the water too, though.
yeah, well, yeah,
But yeah.
but we have to have fun with that. So it's where we go to sort of be in ourselves and calm ourselves down and get away from the pressure cooker.
Correct.
So yeah, I knew that that would come up. And the biggest takeaway from that is, you know, when you really buy into that image is everything approach with your social media, where that's it, you're setting up the people that are going to come and destroy you, because they can be image is everything and then they're just going to outdo your image. So when there's like something really there that like a good substrate, people can't take that away. But if it's just all surface, it's very easy for a new surface to come along and kind of, you know.
Oh, you were just skin and cloth. Like there's
Mhm.
no value to you.
Yeah. So
You
then
don't.
your audience, if your audience is only valuing that, then they can find that like a million
Anyway,
places.
yeah. And when you get older, then what do you have to offer? Like
Right.
you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's connections with other people and lifting other people up, because they never forget that. And they'll always remember you. And they'll always have your back. So last question.
Okay.
What is the I don't want to say super long-term goal, but what's like the next milestone? What's the next, like, what are you working on for, let's say, within the next foreseeable year? Is there sort of
I want
something you're
my
working
I
towards?
want to be more proficient in YouTube videos. I feel like as much as people get things throughout my stories, I didn't
Mhm.
realize how much people love seeing my day-to-day life,
Yes.
because we don't watch TV shows really anymore. I mean, we
Yeah.
do if it's like The Office or something like that. But
Yeah.
you know, with COVID, actors and actresses in movies are kind of have been pushed to the wayside. People now watch people living their lives on YouTube, or
Yeah.
like if we want to get advice on overlanding or where can we go in this state, that state, or just as a person having been being an influencer, I want to document that. I want to have vlogs from my perspective. I'm still a novice, so
Yeah.
my hiccups and things, instead of showing, well, this is exactly how you should do this, it's more like, don't do this. This is how I did this. This doesn't really work, but this is fun, or this is my traveling.
Well, it shows growth. I mean, some of
Mhm.
my some of the people that I enjoy most on YouTube, I purposely just skim. You know, I scroll right down to like, I'm like, let's see when they were like, you know, doing it on their phone with like the worst audio and the worst. Let's see their worst. You know what I
I
mean?
like
Before
that.
they were
Yes.
polished and stuff. And you're like, oh, well,
Mhm.
this person, you know, and some of them 10, 9, 8 years, and you're like, this is the same person, just they've learned to keep up with it. And that's the hardest part, is time. Because time, like, I don't care what you do for a living. Like, it was so hard for us to make this like dumb phone call, because
It's
it would
true.
be like, I'm doing stuff.
And I've got the content, so it drives my husband crazy, but he's still sweet about it. But he's like, "Hey, sweets, we got all those videos from our
It
honeymoon."
drives me nuts too, because I check in on your YouTube, like I'd say like
I
once a
know.
week, because that's our television in our house. That's where
And that's my goal,
that's
is to have a video once a week. Like that, I feel like is maintainable. I can do that. I just need to get
and you know
my
what? It sounds it, and that's a lot of work. I've gained a lot of respect for people that do once a week, because you
Mhm.
know, like making the videos a pain in the butt, but
Yes.
the editing is like, that's a job.
And to get things to format. That was my problem forever, was my GoPro because I guess if it's older, I had some kind of formatting that was not working. So
no, sometimes it's recording when you don't want it to, and other times it's not recording when you've got your PB on the line or something goes great, or it's on your chest mount, but it's just slightly tipped down because we're checking to make sure that that it was actually recording. And then like you got to fishing and you forgot to tip it back up like 30 degrees. And
yes.
I don't know why that isn't more like one big purple button on the top that's like stop, start, and it tells you, and then like that's it, and it's just recording, and there's none of that 5 minutes battery saver overheating.
No, and then I want it to be in increments. So my husband had his set up every 10 minutes, it would like stop and then record again, so it's easier to go through it. But
I had mine at 5, and I still never got in the swing of like hitting that button and making sure that it was capturing. I was like, there's someone like Apple needs to make this like idiot proof.
I feel
it's not idiot proof, and it's not us, because it's everybody that I know that has a GoPro, like has like GoPro nightmare stories.
And it's so frustrating. Of course, my husband's like, "Oh, just swipe this way," and then that's where the time lapse is. And I'm like, "Yeah, but when I swipe, it starts taking like 10,000 photos, like, or it does something weird." I honestly just need a record button and a stop button. I do not need anything else.
As long as I know I'm getting it all, we'll take care of it at home. I don't want to worry what's going on when I'm on the water. I feel like I'm always babysitting the camera.
I agree.
That's kind of one of the reasons I stopped making on the water videos, because I felt like I was more conscious of like, what is the camera doing instead of what I was doing.
Well, in the equipment you need, like I still need to get a tripod and things like that, but I really do. That's my goal.
I've got an amazing tripod, and I'll give you
some
I need to get, we're going to give all of Rebecca's social media and her causes she believes in. We're going to put all that in this tripod though. Like, first of all, it looks banging. Okay?
Yeah.
It matches my car. I think this was $30 on Amazon. No, and it's like rigid, like I'm talking rigid, like it doesn't flex at all. And it also has this hook here, so you could put a little weight on it. So when you're in a stream, the current won't knock it over. So you can hang like a little 5-pound weight on there. I've had 0 issues with this for 3 years. And then all that I have, this is the tripod, this stupid metal thing from Amazon that was like cheap, that you literally just,
we need some links.
you put your iPhone in it, and then you plug in the windproof camera.
Oh, the microphone. The
windproof microphone. Now I'm missing the adapter.
Okay.
The iPhone adapter, because I have 2 10-year-olds. And so any equipment that I have is like the spare parts bin for them when they're missing something. So like whatever's got cords on it, like, I've got cords hooking up, my mouse to my computer, but like this could easily disappear. So we'll put links to everything Rebecca, everything Lady Angler Lentz. Also, I'm going to pester Rebecca because I think we have good on-screen chemistry. And
a good ebb and flow, I've noticed. So I've been on many other podcasts, and it's very hard finding the right time to talk and not interrupt or make it like, then it's like, oh shoot, dead silence, and going from there. I got bit by a spider while I was outside. It's like starting to swell up.
It laid eggs in there, and then like you're gonna pop it, and like little baby spiders are gonna erupt out, like a million of them. Guarantee.
And then
I guarantee it.
They'll go in my ears, and
it's right, and then lay eggs in your ears. You're gonna see the skin on your elbow just start to like go like this on the surface.
Oh, it's so gross.
So I will pester you in the future. I'll be like, Rebecca, we gotta host a podcast and have other people on, and then the 2 of us can be a pain in their ass.
I'm down for it. I think it's a great idea.
All right. Well, I'll we'll end this, and then I'm just gonna make sure I have all the links and everything. I want to thank you again for being an awesome, totally rad human being.
Well, thank you for having
and
me on.
taking the time out of your busy day to talk with us and let other people see how rad you are. So it's good talking. We'll end it there. And
Okay.
everyone, I'm going to put links to Rebecca's social media accounts, and we'll see you in the next one.